Alright, let's make sure we got it in 4-wheel drive, and we do. Amen. How's it going, everybody? Today is Wednesday. We're headed to feed the heifers, or well, we've already fed the little heifers across the road, the yearling ones, and now we're headed to the bred heifers down here in this bottom, and we're going to need all the help we can get. It's rained about an inch last night. It's in the 30s, and it has been real nice and dry, almost a little too dry, up until about 2 weeks ago, and then we got like an inch of rain, and then a few days later we got 2 inches of rain, and then last night we got another inch. So it's a little sloppy down here, and almost need to say a prayer before we go in here. Well, ever since I was a kid, I never understood nursery rhymes and those little sayings or riddles that kids use to pick things. So, like for instance, when I hold my little daughter at night, you know, rockabye baby up in the treetops, when the wind blows, the baby's gonna fall out of the tree and hit the ground, probably not survive. And then who the hell sticks a baby in the tree? Rub-a-dub, 3-minute in a tub. But the first time I heard that, I was just like, oh, nope. So those riddles that kids use, I never understood them at all. Never could keep up with them. Even though at 32 years old, I still sometimes use one. But they go a little different. The heifers here, they're kind of blocking your view. But over here, it's okay. Right here in the middle is horrible. The bull's getting one. Rode her through the water. You can't really see. There's about knee deep there in that rut. Over here is not too bad. When I came out the other day, I came out over here empty, and this right here is super slick. So even if you don't sink, it's hard to get traction. So what I like to do is go mini, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, kick him in the nuts. We're going right there then. If you're ever unsure, just give her hell. If I didn't have the suspension with the double axles and the super singles, wouldn't even try it. If it had a single axle with duals, it would be like throwing an anchor out there, and I wouldn't be able to go through that at all. But the only thing about the suspension, it's got a little more underneath that drags, but it'll keep you afloat, obviously. And then it kind of helps walk over the mud. Like when you're spinning the tires and it's throwing mud, if you got duals with single axle, that's what we used to have. It'll pile up on in front of the wheels on the wagon, and then it don't matter if you're sinking or not, you're just screwed. Right here's where we went in. You can see where we drug the bolts on the leaf springs a little bit, and then right here's where we came out. And this is pretty close to being shut down, and we'll have to figure out a different way to come in and feed them. There is another way around through them trees that I was going last year, and it's going to take a little effort to get that fixed up where I could get through. There's a down tree and some other crap in there. This is hard packed, but if you ever busted through this, you'd be ruined. You wouldn't be going nowhere. But it's slick as hell, and like I said, it's hard packed, but it's jello underneath. We'll get this gate closed. I gotta go check Grip 3 for heat, and then we'll get going with the rest of the day. It's already probably 10:30 or so. So we made it out of here. We got 2 loads of milk cow feed to mix. Check for heat in Grip 3. Then we'll get those 2 loads put out, and then we'll move on to the next project. Next project is we gotta change inflations today. It's time to change inflations. We use Lauren liners, and I've been using them for 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, 2 or 3 years, and then maybe longer, 3 or 4 years. I don't remember. And we got some other stuff going, and we got a bunch of stuff done this last week, but I haven't really filmed any of it. I just kind of like, who cares? Nobody cares about this. And I should have filmed some of it. It's kind of cool how we did some stuff. But anyway, well, I'll show you what we got done, and we'll just go on with the rest of the day. We got 1 more load to feed and mix. Walking to the wheel loader right now. Wes, he just went behind the water tank in the skid steer. He's scraping down the feed lane. And what I mean by scraping down is he's got the rubber tire and he's pushing the manure down on the cow alleys. Jeremy and Ryan are somewhere putting out free choice baleage for the milk cows tonight. They're grazing during the day, but they get their free choice baleage at night because we're only grazing 12 hours a day. We're kind of in between right now of being able to go 24 hours, or having enough to go 24 hours, and not having enough to have to stay 12 hours. So I called our head milker, Francisco, and told him it's actually his day off today, but I asked him if he'd come and help start changing inflations. So he's in the barn pulling them out. That's his truck right here. It's a F-150, and over the last 8 months I've fixed a brake line that busted, and his motor for his window went out once, and then another time it was frozen and he tried to roll it down and he screwed it all up. So ended up fixing that twice, and so I kind of used that for my advantage and asked him if he'd come in and start changing inflations while the rest of us are doing this other stuff, and he said yeah, no problem. So he's in there by himself right now starting to pull them out, and once the rest of us get done, we'll get in there and get them done. We got this time of year, there's not enough time in between milkings, so we got like 3 hours before the first wash of this afternoon's milking. So we'll get in there and get them changed as fast as we can. Getting molasses and water. So 3 moles are burrowing through the ground. First one pops his head out of the ground and says, "Man, you smell that?" Second one pops his head out. He's like, "Yeah, I sure do." The third one goes, "All I smell is molasses." Alright, so to finish this load off, we got to get corn silage. probably gonna be what's left of that pile there that I piled up. I guess I piled that up last night, so I knew it was gonna rain. I didn't want to be in the mud, but anyway, so we'll go get the wheel loader and pile that up. You see the tanker sitting there next to our trucks. Used to saying milk truck, but there's not a truck there. It's just a trailer. The deal is that we're currently, for the last week, we've been overflowing our milk tank. We got a 4,000 gallon milk tank that we've had for, I don't even know how long, 20, no, more than that. Probably 30 years. But, so we're overflowing it. We have the last few years, this time of year, January, February, March, we overflow it. Probably what we should have done 5 years ago was add on to that building and put a 6,000 gallon tank in, but we never did it, and now we don't want to put any money into that building. So, like they have the last few years, they are picking us up twice a day. And because of shortage of drivers and drivers that want to actually do some work, the guy that normally picks our milk up, he's got a whole system or plan, and it's really confusing to explain it, but he's bringing in a trailer and dropping it off, and then hooking up to another trailer and taking off with it. So that's what he did yesterday, is he dropped that trailer off out here, and then today is actually his day off. And so I told him to help him out, that so his relief guy doesn't have to worry about it, that we would move that trailer up to the back of the barn today, sometime this afternoon, so that they can load onto it at midnight tonight. So at some point today, when we get a few free 30 minutes or so, we're going to hook up that trailer and back it up to the barn. There's some steel plates there in front of the barn to dolly it off on, and then we'll leave it there. And then at midnight, that relief guy is going to come pull it in with a different truck and trailer, or a different trailer, I guess. And then he's going to load the milk and then take off to another dairy, or go to a different route, and then pick up milk, and then he'll come back at noon and hook that trailer up, and he should be bringing another empty trailer. Very confusing, but anyway, we're going to hook that trailer up for him and put it up there later. So this load's done. It's like 11,000, a little over 11,000 pounds. These last two loads that get split, both loads are 4 milk cows. So I got first. So the first load is all of Group 1s and half of Group 2s. Second load is the rest of Group 2s and all of Group 3s. All three groups are pretty close to even right now, milking about 565, maybe 570 cows right now. So we will go run off the half of Group 2s and then park it with Group 3s on it, and then we'll go start changing inflations. So those are the old liners going in the trash. Well, we got those inflations done. It's almost 3 o'clock now. I just grabbed something to eat real quick, but that black heifer has been calving. She had a couple of feet barely poking out when I went and ate, which was 45 minutes ago, and probably gonna have to end up pulling that. But we're gonna run over here real quick. Got a guy coming, a wholesaler supply guy coming and bring in a couple steer tires for that W900. He brought a couple or 4 tires for that grain trailer yesterday. We did that yesterday, and then they forgot the steer tires, so he could just bring them today. So one thing we got done this week is the dozer. The dozer is completely ready to go. We welded all the grouser bars on, gave us an inch more of traction. I mean, this, you can see where the old track was and where the, where it's going to be now, or where it is now, whatever. So it gave us an inch more of cleat. So I forgot how many there is on each side, but we welded those on using 7018, and we used close to 20 pounds of 532 7018 rod. So that's how much welding was. Took 3 to 4 rods on each bar to get them all on, and that's not counting the 6011 that we used to tack it on. But so that, you know, we did the trunnion, we did the hydraulic cylinder, we did the starter, or the solenoid on the starter. Yeah, start's right up now. It's got plenty of traction. It's headed in the right direction to the woods that way. We just got to get some time to get over there. And it's probably going to dry up a little bit now, but it is ready to go. The amount of time it took us, it took me and Wes 2 afternoons to do this side. And it was probably, say 4 or 5 hours each day. No, not quite. 3 to 4 hours each afternoon working on it. And then the other side, I had barely started on it. Wes was busy doing something. I can't remember what he was doing. And it took me about an hour, and I tacked on 8 of them by myself, which was kind of difficult trying to hold them. And, you know, with the 2 guys tacking them on, that was pretty easy. But doing it by yourself was a little difficult. And like I said, it took me an hour just to get 8 of them on. Anyway, my cousin, he's a welder. So what he does, builds fence and does all, you know, whatever welding needs to be done. I ended up talking to him on the phone and asked him what he was doing, and said, hey, you want to come by the next day and see if we can't knock this out real quick. And then so he came over the next afternoon, and it took us about 5 hours with 2 welders, and Wes was holding them, and I was tacking them, and he was welding them right here on the front. We would just drive the dozer forward and weld them here, and then when they came back up the back side, and then he'd be welding on the front, and I'd be welding on the back, and then me and Wes kind of took turns welding a few times. So if you follow me on Instagram, when I had the tip of my finger all bloody, that's the day it happened. Went over to pull a calf and was, you know, in a hurry to get back over to weld, and thought I could sneak up on her, and somehow ended up, when the heifer jumped up and took off running, and somehow I ended up being drugged, and when I let go of the chain, the calf pulling chain, it got my index finger caught in the chain, and it didn't really do no damage, just peeled off a chunk of skin. But anyway, that was that day. And then I got back over after that, and we kept going, and it took about 5 hours to get this side done with 2 welders going and 3 guys. So probably 15 hours altogether, and like I said, almost 20 pounds of rod. So basically we got almost like new pads for about $2,000, I think. I can't remember. The other thing we've done this week was probably closer to 2 weeks ago. Wes got 2 loads of rock and made this pad out here. And then 2 or 3 days ago, me and Wes moved the diesel tanks out here. So they're no longer by that tree where that old barn was. They're up out here. The little tank that we put green diesel in was empty, so that was no big deal. This one, we actually picked it up with the wheel loader, set it back down, filled the wheel loader up with diesel, and then put about 100 gallons of diesel on the back of Wes's truck and his fuel tank, transfer tank, or what, fuel cell, or whatever you want to call it, and then picked it up and carried it over here. It's got probably about 2 foot of diesel in it, so it wasn't too hard on the wheel loader, but it wasn't nothing light. And we got them here, got a little whatever you want to call it, a little cutoff off the driveway where you can pull up, fill up with diesel, and be out of the way of the driveway, and then they're sitting there nice and neat. Alright, I just pulled that calf, me and Easton did, and so now we're going to get this truck started up. Alright, so we went and got this truck the other day. We just got it started and got it unhooked from this trailer because we're going to move that milk trailer over to the front of the barn. Like I explained earlier, we're overflowing the milk tank, and this is just to help out the milk truck drivers, to keep them happy, because they ain't too happy about having to come twice a day. So this trailer went and got 4 new brake drums and new brakes and all that, so all that's good now. And it's got 4 good tires on it, and these were the other tires that we put on. If you remember a few videos ago where I was having trouble with the impact wrench and trying to put tires on the aluminum trailer, that's where these tires were with that bunch. And so we've been working on that aluminum trailer here and there, only worked on it for a couple hours, me and Wes have, and we got one side of it's good to go, and the other side still need to put 2 new ones on and 2 good used ones. The used ones are going to come off the front of the W9, and the W9 is going to get 2 new front steer tires. And that's what the wholesale guy that's delivering some tires, that's what he's bringing today. Some Toyos. So, we're going to get this moved over there. Well, we're all hooked. Yeah, we're good. It's kind of weird looking hooked up to the truck. We ought to just go buy a chiller and get a couple trailers and just direct load into the trailers and haul our own milk. Maybe for the future. I don't know. We're gonna get this moved up to the front of the barn. Alright. No reason to hook that back up just yet because we're not gonna undo with it. So just gonna leave it here in case we need to do that again. You can't really see the trailer because the wheel loader's sitting in the way. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna come by tonight with a truck and trailer. They're gonna load milk onto that trailer sitting in front of the barn. They're gonna leave here, run a route, get a tanker load, go back to their yard, drop it off, get it empty. Actually, I think they go back to Tyler, to Highland or something like that, and then get an empty trailer, bring that trailer here, unhook it, pull over there, hook up to that trailer, put tomorrow morning's milking in it, and then they got it. That'd be like probably 80% of the load, and then they're gonna run up to I don't know where the dairy is, somewhere in Emory, Texas, and then get a load or stop at a dairy and get the rest of the load, and then go on to Sulphur Springs. So that is why we got to do all that, because we can't hold all our milk in our milk tank. So the milk tank's gonna sit right there. We'll go find something else to do now. Alright, so here we are. Here's kind of a smaller heifer. She's only 23 months old, and then a freaking monster bull calf. That's why she needed help pulling it. She was looking to calve it before I pulled over here, but we'll give him a little bit more time, and then we'll come grab this calf and get him in a warm hutch and get him a bottle of colostrum. But yeah, it's all good. One other thing that we did actually yesterday was the calves that we first weaned. So these were the firstborn calves of this season back. Well, I started calving August 20th, and then those heifers that me and Jeremy bought. And then so from August 20th to I think September 15th is all these calves here. We just moved them from the weaning pens out to here. And then so now they got a 5-acre field with the winter pasture that we planted. And they're, you know, learning how to graze. And there was 2 pens. Now with those 2 pens together, there's 73 of them. So they're just learning how to be a little more mature than they were in the weaning pen. If that's what you want to call it. But anyway, so they're out here on this green stuff now. They're still getting fed calf grain. It'll be a little while before they go to the heifer TMR mix. Well, it's a little later now. Those tires came. They're sitting up in there. There's some Toyos steer tires, and we're about to go put a tote of T-dip on, or swap them out basically. One tote's empty, so we're gonna move them over, which is going to be very actionable. And after that, when Wes gets back, we may run over to the shop and work on them tires. So if we go over there, we'll film something. If we don't, then we won't. And if it's not interesting, then we won't film it. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap the video up here before it gets dark. Still kind of raining, but I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one.